Well, it's Friday the 8th of May. I, for one, can't wait for Mars to leave Aquarius on May the 12th. Whilst that will bring more comfort, it's not all plain sailing. Venus will retrograde from the same date until June the 24th. Looking beyond the immediate horizon, Mercury will start to retrograde next month from June the 17th until July the 12th. So spend this time wrapping up and securing foundations upon which to build. This is episode 2018 of 301 Permanently Moved Online, a personal podcast 301 seconds in length, written, recorded and edited in 1 hour by me at the JMO. Regular service returning after the first episode of 411 came out on Tuesday. I hope you enjoyed it. I learnt a lot making it. Most of what I learned is related to what not to do in future, both in terms of executing on the vision, but also what I should do in future with workflow, etc. I also learnt a hard personal lesson, one that I already knew intuitively, but there is a big difference between knowing the content of a lesson and learning it the hard way. They are lessons earned, as it were. When you mess up, you just have to accept the responsibility and take immediate action to rectify it in the best way you see possible. ASAP. Anyways, now that episode is out, I'm really proud of it, and I feel a bit more confident in making things aside from just this 5-minute weekly show, which is nice. Onwards and outwards, as it were. If you remember, back in November last year, I released a show recorded at the seaside on the subject of depression. I think it's one of the best things I've ever made here on this show. It's episode 1934. I said back then that I was feeling a lot better, and now here we are in May 2020, and I feel even better. It's been strange though. During this lockdown period, I feel like I've shed the last of the black dog, like shedding a weighted blanket, or the clearing of smoke in a room. Everything feels so much faster, more tolerable. This, of course, is the opposite of what some of my friends are experiencing, so the change in gear speeds has caused some grinding here and there, and it's been interesting to manage. I also fear perhaps there is a touch of mania in me creatively, which is related to, or perhaps the cause of, some of the lessons learnt that I talked about. I spoke 2 episodes ago about not needing any approval for doing things, and also wrote on the blog recently that I've started keeping timesheets, not only for freelance work, but also now for personal projects and stuff. This has really helped me feel a bit more optimistic and motivated. However, I think with this newfound energy and steps towards tracking my life a bit better, it's time to get fully organised. This usually comes in 2 to 2.5 year cycles for me. I'm not sure how it is for you. So we have a bank holiday weekend here in the UK, and I think I'm going to spend it sorting my life out. I wrote a list in my notebook of the things I'd like to do, and still need to add some more, but there's a bunch of things at the extreme levels of organisation on it. For example, I'd like to nuke my MacBook and have a fresh OS X install, as to begin with a clean slate. I also need to sort out and organise my Google Drive, need to unsubscribe from even more media on YouTube and elsewhere. And also, despite implementing it in 2 separate organisations, I'd also like to sit down and finally build out my own personal Notion.so instance. I am a Notion power user, but only in the context of working with clients. My own Notion is just some rudimentary organisational pages and a timesheets database, so there's lots to do. I think I'll review my Google Drive and update my Notion at the same time, convert lots of the bits of writing and ideas that I have currently sitting in documents into projects so I can set personal deadlines and block out time to work on them. It's just a lot of work. For me, self-reflection usually happens on the meditation mat. This kind of self-reflection, however, is about real things, bits of old effort that I've poured myself into and then abandoned. Anyways, organising my creative life is a nice segue into visionary mode, as I'll need to be organised to get that done. As I said at the end of This Is It, I've changed my mind about what I wanted to do, and that's kind of because one of the things I had wrapped up in making that essay was the assumption that the universe would warp in such a way that it would tell me what I should be doing next, and that answer did actually come along. So I think I'm going to attempt to make a show that's lots of snippets of conversations strung together with narration from me, radio, as it were. Visionary mode, I hope, will be an exploration of what those 2 words mean to other people, then piecing those bits together and following up on the threads that emerge from the conversations that I have. I already spoke with Dougald Hine earlier this week, perhaps best known as the co-founder of the Dark Mountain Project. He currently runs a school called Home, link in the show notes, and they have an online course beginning on the 14th of May if you want to check it out. At one point in our sprawling conversation, we got to the subject of vision, being visionary, and the grinding of lenses in the 17th century. Here's a short clip from that conversation to close out the show. I'll speak to you next week.
So the infinite has moved address from the metaphysical into the physical. I mean, part of what I always think about the 17th century is that you have this kind of double movement, where on the one hand you have this expansion of the boundaries of what can be known directly through these lenses and these breakthroughs that are going on. And on the other hand, you have a contraction of the set of things which are allowed to be real.